Hey folks, this is can't see me too well, and I understand that, and that's not the point I was making with this. Excuse the way it looks. It looks dark, but that's not the point. The point is the message I have. I'm going to start doing a podcast deal where I'm going to start speaking on subjects that are religious related and non-religious related, but they're all under the topic of God approved. Okay, so if it is about religion or not, it is still approved by God. Now, I had this story already in my mind where they said that uh, William Shatner could be. It's a Star Trek story. I didn't had one for it. I said, what if they took? And I'm 38 years old now. Remember, and I'm a kid. I'm a grown kid. Might as well say, even though I am the pastor of the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship online ministry. But I had a story. What if they took and said that William Shatner could do one more Star Trek movie? And they said that, yeah, they know that some of the people of his Star Trek have died and some are still alive. They knew this. And they said some of them could come back if they wanted to or not in the story. But yet they got him on there. And they told him, they said that they could do it as a series or a movie. It depends on their choice. And they could take it where it's set in. It could be 2019 or 2020 or whatever date you want to put it. But it's in a modern date and it's a real date. And say that Captain Kirk comes back and he's given this great offer he can't refuse. And they told him he couldn't work by himself, that he had to have someone to help him. Now, let's say that I know you know about having to do time travel and whatever else finagling you have to do to get this done. But say they did all that and they said that he had someone that had to help him. And they took Patrick Stewart and they brought him back as Captain Picard. And they said that what they would do is take what's left of the Picard Star Trek and the Kirk Star Trek and have them working together in a new Starship Enterprise. And by doing so, that meant that they told Kirk you couldn't work by yourself. So they got him a second in command, and it turned out to be Jean-Luc Picard. And nobody knows this is going to happen. They just assume they don't know it's going to happen. And when he showed up on the scene, everybody lost it. Say in the movies or movie theater or at home, you lost it. And you're like, let's just say that let's just say that the audience who watches the movie or series does not know what's about to happen. And also, say they made it look like that the Captain Kirk and his crew, what's left of it, and also the other crew members didn't know who they were talking about. And when he showed up, they lost it. It was like, Captain Kirk with Jean-Luc Picard. Ooh, they was like getting so excited because they knew that was their two favorite men and they wanted to work for them so bad. And they finally get a chance to. And it was like, both are the greatest starship captains ever. Starship Enterprise. So they finally get them together. They even bring back Worf, and they bring them all, and they try to see, because they said that the way that LeVar Burton's character had however, let's just say that his character could actually age, even with his special abilities. And so they bring him back, and they just bring a bunch of them back. I mean, even Jonathan, and they bring back LeVar, and they bring back a bunch of them. So they do this, and so the story goes that there is actually some bad guys that decided that they were banding together to fight good. And when those two got together, you could leave it that way, or you could add in the fact that they said that, sorry, we thought that only two men would work for this mission, but we need a third. And they said you have to go to a certain part of the galaxy to get this third leader. And everybody's like confused. How? Who? So then they finally get to this place where they're supposed to go, a certain part of the world, and they find out it's Luke Skywalker. Yeah, you could go even there if you wanted to with it and say Luke Skywalker found out what they were about, the Federation and the Jedi, and it's like, if we band together, what kind of an army we could make? And they bring back Hamilton. Yep. And then what's left of, Star um Star Wars, and say that the old Han Solo decided he's kind of to himself now because Princess Leia had died and his son is an evil man. So then when some of the bad guys from Star Trek were still alive, but because them being aliens and outer space people, they couldn't age like people, so they'd been around forever. They can be killed once you know their weaknesses. So say that they got these together, and so okay, so then you had um you've got oh, I knew names and I've lost names. Forgive me for it. But anyway, Han Solo's son, and he finds out about the bad guys that were still around from Star Trek. So then he decided to band with them, and they accepted him as a human being that had powers himself because you know about what kind of person he was. So then they get him there, and they say that they thought that they was going to end up like, oh, this is getting really deep. I know it is. Like you got Star Trek, Star Wars mixed together, and you got Jedi's working with the Federation, and it's all like they're trying to fight, basically, basically in a nutshell, the nephew of Luke Skywalker and some Star Trek bad guys, and they're all banding together to get rid of him. So it all comes down to a clash, and they're all ready to fight. So they all get to fighting, and while they're fighting, they're trying to find out the weaknesses of this stuff. And so when they do this, then when they finally find out how to defeat these characters, then Luke said, this is a good idea. I think we should make a pact where the Federation works with the Jedis because we seem to do better as a group. And Captain Kirk was about ready to say, well, I had done retired by the time they called me back to work for this mission. And Picard said, well, I'm an old man. What could I do? He's like, well, I knew an old man once, Luke says. His name was Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he was old man too, but he did a lot of things. So it isn't to do with your age. It's to do with your abilities. So they decided, okay, they're going to do this. So they do this, and they come to find out it worked better that way. I don't know. It may not work. May work. I don't know. See? But if for those that don't know what I'm rambling on about, I'm doing basically a podcast, which is basically, and I'm going to start platforming it where you see my face, and I'll try to get equipment and stuff for it. But right now, it's basically me talking to y'all on a video, and it's the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship Online Ministry podcast. The actual church service will be basically me speaking to y'all in a church style, like sermon style setting. Like, okay, like when you watch the ones where I'm preaching, that's actually a church service. But the ones where I call it the Christian Hearts Christian Fellowship Online Ministry podcast, it's a podcast affiliated with the ministry, but it's on God-approved subjects. I just spoke on basically an idea I had for a movie or a series, depending on how you want to do it. Then there's one where I love Trump. I love Trump a lot. I mean, I pray daily for him, and I freak out when I think something is happening to him on the level of people attacking him with, what he can and cannot do, what they can and cannot do, what they want to do to him, impeach him, and Just all these attacks, and it hurts my feelings to think that they want to impeach the man, not knowing what kind of person he really is. He's a peach of a guy. I mean, I don't know if you want to say that or say, like a good guy so far as I know, and he's done for America what he can, and he's trying to spread that to the other countries that America supports. But it's hard when people are trying to down the man, put him down for something he hasn't even done. Like that one thing I saw on Facebook. The more these people that's against him try to find things on him, the more they find the dirt on themselves. And I really believe that. And that Adam Schiff. Now, as Trump asked us one time, he said, "Is he a treason? Could he be arrested for treason?" Is what I meant to say. And yeah, I think that there's a witch hunt out there, and these witch hunt guys, they've pretty much put it out there that they are against Trump, totally 100% wholeheartedly against him. And I want to say that that's right. I do really want to say that because when you get down to the heart of it all, there's a bunch of people out there throwing their weight around trying to say that they know something we don't know about each person they're against. But it's like what I say. I've seen people like myself and Rick and Bubba, which if you don't know what that is, that's a radio show host from Alabama. But anyway, or as if you want to say, Roll Tide. But let me tell you something. Myself, I live in a rainbow world, not the gay kind, the straight kind. When I say it that way, I mean that I'm a non-racist guy. I stand up for people. I don't stand up for colors. Because the only color you should be thinking about is the color love. Hold on, I gotta cut something off here. And see, it's awfully hard to do that when you got all these naysayers out there swearing up and down you've done something against them that you don't even know what you're supposed to have done. And it's like when I started with all these different projects, I've got I'm gonna try to do better with the radio broadcast on the MixLR, and I've got stuff I do on Facebook, MySpace. Well, not MySpace. I mean YouTube. I keep saying that, but I meant YouTube and Facebook and MixLR. And I talk on Twitter. And see, the thing is, when I do this stuff, when you start with all these different adventures I say, with the Lord, and doing like that, people, yes, they say you're not an ordained minister. Well, God ordained me. Jesus ordained me. And they said that they were my teachers in my classroom or my college for theology was heaven. Which means there's a lot of us out there that are told by God, pick up your cross and go preach. And don't even worry about, what people are going to say about you going that route. I told you to do that, so you go and do it. And the thing is, people want to fuss because they don't see you as an ordained minister. They see you as you're just some guy preaching, and they don't see it as God ordains people at times when he knows it's an emergency case for them to just pick up and go and do what they got to do. And I know that as much as next person does. But see, that's the thing. People don't, next person probably don't give a care, but if he did, then yeah, he would understand. But my thing is, when you do stuff like that, you will get talked to about you're not a real preacher and how dare you talk this way. Look, I've got my troubles. So do you. But how are we supposed to get over these troubles if we don't band together and listen to God? When God tells you to speak it, you speak it. Right now, if someone said, here's a free building, or a building that you pay rent on, but your rent is based on the tithes you get if you start a church in it, I sure would. If they said, look, this building's for a church, God will provide. It might take years, it might take months, it might take a while, but you don't sit there and complain when you want it now and you don't get it now. I say God will provide when it's time. He gave you a job to do. Whether you get paid for it or not, it's not the issue. It's, are you taking his word seriously? Are you going out there and telling people what he said to tell them? There's a lot of us out there that want to do that, but we're too scared to because we're afraid that we're going to get in trouble with somebody for doing it. I say, stop. Stop the grumbling. Stop the fussing. If you're doing what God told you to do, you're doing a lot better than what you can realize. But see, a lot of people, they don't think that no one will take them seriously. Hey, I've known guys to be preaching in the same manner as I am. They may have not went the internet route, but they went and had a building and they preached in it, and people went to the church and was saved and were done just as good as any other man that preaches. But see, y'all, some of you naysayers want to say, no, it's not going to work. If you don't be a certain way, you can't baptize and you can't preach and you can't save. And all. I didn't save people. God saved them through me. So I just